Hello, hello. Welcome back to the Back Porch Sports Podcast, season four? Four, I believe.
Somewhere in there.
I don't know. Seven. Yeah, it's Back Porch Nate here again with another great year. We are joined with our boy, FPI Killer, my buddy Jake, on the porch chat.
What's up?
So Scott is in the middle of a move at the moment, so he'll join us later. But it's good to be back. It's been a while. A lot of moving parts this offseason for college football. We're excited. 7 more weeks to go until week 0, which is just an appetizer really till week 1. Week 1, it's the slate's electrifying from noon all the way till 10 o'clock.
Starts on Friday night. Thank you very much.
Friday night.
Baylor versus Auburn on Friday.
Yeah, Baylor versus Auburn. It's going to be fantastic. I am excited for that one. It's been a long off season, lots of news to get into. We could talk 4 hours about new rulings by the NCAA, who's in the portal, who's not, who left, who didn't left, like where's the money going, moving coaching cares. I mean, there's so much NCAA game that just came out today. I mean, there's so much to talk about. But we're just going to try to keep it under 30 minutes for you guys because my attention span can't go that any further. So we're going to kick it off with just portal talk. There's a lot of guys that left and went to new teams. But we're going to talk about the impact players. These guys, when they got to this team, they're going to help this team win at least 1 or 2 games. Like when Vegas saw this guy go to this team, they're like win total, win up. You know what I mean? So there's something there. So we're gonna break down that starting right now, and then move on to some other little fun topics. But it's good to get you going. I know he's at the studio, so I'm doing the mobile right now. So Jake's gonna go ahead and kick us off with our transfer portal back porch best players, most impact players. Yeah,
we'll call it impact players, and we'll start with let's do this to keep it simple. We'll do 2 quarterbacks apiece because there was a lot of quarterback shuffling. Yeah, I know one directly affected you major. I mean, me as well, but I'm not even going to consider Jackson Arnold. But maybe somebody that left that Oklahoma team. Maybe the reason Jackson Arnold left that Oklahoma team, Oklahoma got John Mateer, and it may not even be John Mateer that makes the difference. It might just be that offensive coordinator coming with Mateer. So you keep that intact, bring it over to Oklahoma, who, did not have a great year last year, but let's be honest, they were throwing, I mean, when they played Auburn, and again, I'm an Auburn fan, so I know this to my heart, they weren't playing with any starting wide receivers. None. Not one single starting wide receiver was playing, and Jackson Arnold did the best he could, but now you bring in a coordinator and a quarterback from, was it Washington State, right?
Yes, yeah.
Right?
Experience.
And you bring in experience, you're bringing some cohesion over to that Oklahoma team. That had a pretty good recruiting class, and I think brought in some more transfers. But that's going to be my number one impact player. And it could be impact good or it could be impact bad. We're going to find out real quick how John Mateer plays in the SEC, which is normally known for really good defense. Maybe not the past few years, but that's going to be my number one quarterback. Transfer impact quarterback will be John Mateer, and then I'll kick it to you for yours. Yeah,
that's a good one. Impact quarterbacks, I would say that's going to help teams immediately just win. Mateer's definitely going to help Oklahoma win. Their defense is going to be fine. He's going to definitely he's a difference between 2 games for them. So they're definitely going to they have a tough schedule, but they should have a better outlook this year. If you're an Oklahoma fan, if you're a Sooner fan, be on the positive outlook. Don't fire Venables yet. My impact player is going to be Carson Beck. After Miami had a great season last year, came up short. A lot of it's because of defense, Cristobal, and then they went ahead and just grabbed another impact quarterback, Carson Beck. Everyone says Beck had a bad year. Did he though? Like if you look at Beck's, if you just watch the games, he played good in. He was phenomenal. Like the Tennessee game, lights out. But there's a lot of wide receivers that dropped the ball last year. I mean, he hit them in the hands a lot. I mean, I'm not a Georgia fan at all, but living in Georgia, a lot of fans were just frustrated like crazy with their wide receivers and their tight ends because every third down, he would make a play and hit them right in the hands in stride, and then next thing you know, they dropped it. So I think he's going to come in a lot to prove this year with Miami, and Miami surrounded him with a bunch of talent. as well. So with a weak ACC, I can see him sitting in the pocket, finding his guys, and really increasing his draft status this year. He's already had the potential. It's just now putting it all together. And I think Miami is going to have an opportunity when they play the Florida game at home. Right now, that's a toss game. It's a 50-50 game, Vegas is saying. So if he can turn out a good win against that game, a good performance, I believe his meter is just going to rise up. I mean, barring the off field issues, dating, who I don't care who you date, whatever. I think he's focused. I think he's ready. So he's a big impact for me. There's a reason why they have Miami the win total where they're at this year.
I mean, and really a lot of us forget that Carson Beck even transferred because it happened so long ago. He's like one of the first guys. It happened so long ago that like a lot of us forget that it even happened, that he even transferred. But someone that's not really even talked about a lot, and somebody that again had just a killer game against Auburn, actually broke records for Cal, which if you remember, there's a lot of good quarterbacks that played at Cal. Mr. Aaron Rodgers played there. And he broke a record during that game of most completed passes without a drop passing, completion, anything, no turnovers, anything against Auburn. And that's Fernando Mendoza. Now, he didn't transfer to, a big school that we're used to, but it's Indiana. Indiana's on the up and up. They've been very competitive in the big and will continue to be competitive. And so Fernando Mendoza may not be, let's say, John Mateer or Carson
Beck, not a sexy name.
Impact. But man, he finished the year with a 66% completion rating, and that's pretty good. You insert that into a running attack that Indiana has, he's going to make an instant impact. He's not going to have to make 100 throws a game. He's going to have to maybe throw the ball 30, 40 times, maybe 30, 35 times in that offense and rely on the running game, a lot of play action. And that's a perfect offense for him. And I don't want people to forget he can use his legs a little, not the fastest, but just enough. Really similar traits to kind of Aaron Rodgers, where he's not beating you down the field, but he's getting out of that pocket and getting the first down. So just somebody to keep an eye on. That's going to be my second impact. The transfer quarterback is Fernando
Mendoza. Yeah, he's a good one. He's not as sexy. Okay, kind of flew under the radar. Everyone, once Indiana lost, they can go back, in the closet. But they're obviously trying to build something there in Bloomington. Is it Bloomington? Yeah, it's Bloomington.
Yeah, I think so.
Trying to build something there by bringing him in to hold the reins down for this year is really big. So that's a really good impact. I mean, there's other guys like Miller Moss, like he's at Louisville, like went from USC to Louisville. There's a lot of other good moving parts. Here's one that it was controversial at the time, it still is, but another impact player who's going to help a program is Nico Amaliva, Tennessee.
How did that feel?
Whatever.
He's over
it's a casualty of war, honestly. As a Tennessee fan, it is what it is. Wish him the best. Maybe you should, consider your options better and who does your dealings, but let's just play football, right? He's going to UCLA. He's from California. To me, it's more of a West Coast offense for him to cool down, just figure out his Heupel's offense. Either you get or you don't, right? Joe Milton got it because he was in it for a couple of years and he still did good. Hendon Hooker got it right off the bat and he ran with it. Nico, you have to read and make the throws. He held the ball so long last year. The offensive line gave him plenty of time. He held the ball so much. He got sacked in games. He threw interceptions. He overthrew his wide receivers too much. So it's a good opportunity for him to just settle down. Hey, I need to get my draft status up. Let me have a great year at UCLA. Help them solidify their program, give them a foundation so they can move forward. I think UCLA is probably going to win 5 to 6 games, which is cool, and that's really big for them, especially playing in the Big Ten. They do play a Big Ten schedule. So he does have experience, and with that experience, the guys in the locker room are going to look to him to help guide that team. So I think Nico's a big impact player. I know we didn't talk about the big sexies impacts at quarterback, but those are some the good ones that we thought of right now. I mean, Back Porch, we're always going to talk. We're going to talk ball. But we're going to also talk about really good ball. These guys are going to really help these teams this year. for sure. So, and then we have some non-quarterback impact players coming up. I know you got one on your list that's pretty good.
Yeah, so I have two. Both of mine are going to be receivers, but I'll start with the one that's not my favorite, and that's going to be Zachariah Branch, transfer from USC to Georgia. And really, he's a great receiver, but his return game is excellent. It's
he's like so fast.
Definitely, probably best I would say best in the NCAA at return game. And granted, yeah,
he's a gadget guy.
Yeah, he's like definitely a gadget.
You put him in scenarios and put him in spots for him to be successful. Like he's so freaking fast.
Yeah, he was top 10 and on 3, and I think number 7 ESPN transfer.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, he's a stud, and you just add him to a powerful Georgia team. I mean, Georgia's Georgia; they're always going to be good. So
exactly,
that's going to be my first wide receiver. Do you have yours up and ready, or you want me to shoot for my second?
I think Nick Anderson transferring from Oklahoma to LSU is not talked about enough. This guy is extremely talented, and like what he did at Oklahoma in the Alabama game, if you remember, True. They couldn't guard him, they couldn't stop him, and this is when Oklahoma didn't really have a quarterback. They're like, we'll just throw anybody out there, and he had a generational game against Alabama, and that was a game that no one was expecting Oklahoma to win at all. Like it was such a shock for everyone. But him going to LSU with Nuss in that era already with a good offense, if he does not have a breakout performance year, professional football focus is predicting, because everyone talks about Jeremiah Smith and they talk about, the other 17, 18-year-olds or whatever. Yeah, they're good. But, like, this guy needs this year to get him looks so he can get drafted high. And he went to the perfect place for that. And if it all works out for them, they're looking for a very special year at LSU. If it works out. If they just learn how to tackle and get off the field on third down, they're going to have a very special year. And again, Brian Kelly is your coach. So there you go. That's my opinion on him. He's never been able to get out past the hump. He's more of a politician than a head coach to me. But we can break down that a little later. But Nick Anderson definitely huge impact wide receiver for LSU for this year.
Yeah, and mine is another wide receiver. I know it feels like we don't love defense here and two good old SEC boys, but I was bathed in the Carnell Williams and Bronny Brown era, and transformed by the Cam Newton era, just to lead me right into Gus Malzahn, where it's all offense, no defense. No, Auburn's had good defenses, but receivers they're just such impact these days. I mean, you look across the board, and like you said, there's all these young receivers, but someone that not a lot of people are talking about, but NFL scouts are noticing, and everybody noticed last year when he played against Georgia, is Eric Singleton Jr. at Auburn. Now, a lot of it's going to depend on, can Jackson Arnold become Jackson Arnold 5-star recruit, or is Jackson Arnold going to continue to be that pumpkin and not have his Cinderella story, because he's kind of created that for himself now. But Eric Singleton Jr., NFL scouts are saying that he has some of the sharpest route running out of this upcoming NFL draft class, as well as I believe he has one of the fastest 40 times, and they just say he's an assassin. He just destroys his routes. Just perfect, crisp routes, and they're really impressed by him. And, like I said, if Jackson Arnold can turn it on, he's got other options on the field, with Cam Coleman and Malcolm Simmons and even Perry Thompson's there, Horatio Fields coming in. He's got options, but that could either do one of two things. That's either going to have teams double teaming Eric Singleton Jr. and leaving these other guys open, or Eric Singleton Jr. can have a KLS type year, who just got drafted in the 4th or 5th round by the Chargers. So Eric Singleton Jr. is definitely one I would say watch out for if you're a fantasy football guy, like I know me and Nate are. He's somebody to look at in the drafts next year and the following years potentially. So Eric Singleton Jr. will be my second impact transfer.
Absolutely. I would say impact transfer comes to mind as kind of definitely help his team is, like it or not, it doesn't sound like going back to quarterback, but Castellano at Florida State.
Yeah.
And Squirrel White Squirrel White going to Florida State.
Yeah, Squirrel's there too, yeah.
So Squirrel's a big impact. So I'm gonna go with both of them really because you need a quarterback at Florida State. They didn't have one last year. So I'm gonna say Cassiano. He's a gamer. He should never opened up his mouth against Alabama week 1. That's his fault. Squirrel White is a super senior. He's looking for a place that he can ball out, and I think he can ball out this year at Florida State. No problem there. So I believe he can ball out and be a difference in that offense for sure. He's a deep threat. He's also, if you put him in the slot and get him open, he can do some damage too, like he did at Tennessee. Hi Noella, how are you? Say hello.
Hi.
Say hi. All right. So Squirrel White is definitely my impact wide receiver. A lot of people aren't talking about it. Same Squirrel. Come on, that's awesome.
Yeah, true.
Looking at you at Florida State, hoping you have a better year this year. Did the portal hard. Nor does it not improve.
Yeah, and Florida State, a lot of people are going to say, are they back or not? But the real question is, who is really back? We have 3 teams here, Nate, that we're going to talk about. We don't have to talk about each individual one, but the question is, who's really back? We got Texas, we got Miami, USC, or none of them back, or none of them actually back, and it's all just smoke and mirrors? Or is there one that stands out amongst the rest? And I know it's very easy just to pick the one that made the deepest playoff run, but for me personally, you look at USC and what they're doing in this recruiting class right now. It's like they all of a sudden discover we can use NIL money. Wow, we're in LA. It should not be hard for us to recruit. And Miami has been slowly building their program, and Texas obviously made a nice little playoff run. But who's really back? Is any of them back? I mean, what do you think out of those 3 teams? Who do you think is the most back out of Texas, Miami, USC?
It's a tough one because Texas did go to the playoffs. They took a team that had a lot of guys drafted to the playoffs, deep in the playoffs. They beat a good Clemson team at home. They went on the road, had to survive a comeback against Arizona State, that was an amazing game. And then they lost round 3, and they were close, but they still needed something. I personally think they are back. They have to beat Georgia. That's it. I think they're back. They just have to beat Georgia.
Yeah, and they have a softer schedule than a lot of SEC teams
They do have a softer schedule, yes, but they got to beat Georgia.
Yeah,
which is not a problem. I think with Arch, even though, if he's so good, why didn't you start? If he's amazing, why didn't, I just think they wanted to slow play his entry into full-time starting with, especially them coming into the SEC for the first time. Using Quinn Ewers as the experienced quarterback was smart, and letting him play in those games where they were blowing people out, which was smart. He's, a sophomore now. He's been there for almost 3 years. He's a Manning. I think he's ready to go. And we'll find out week 1 at Ohio State. So there's your best test right there. At noon in Columbus. There you go.
Yeah.
Show me. If you're that good, you're going to go up there and win. Because they have still a crazy amount of talent. Their roster is loaded. They've done a great job with the nil. They've done a great job with everything. And they have a tough schedule. It's not as tough as other SEC team schools.
True.
But they could win 10 games. If he's the truth, and if he stays healthy, barring injury and stuff like that, they're a 10-win team. They're back. I think they're back. They just have to beat Georgia. Miami's kind of fool's gold because it's so many games they won last year. Barely. The Virginia Tech game, they won because the Virginia Tech guy dropped the ball in the Hail Mary. They as an example of games, how their games went. They played down to their opponent a lot last year, and instead of just really just beating the crap out of people, they kind of just said, all right, well, Cam's going to do his thing, we'll win. And he did. And that's how they played. They can't do that this year. They have to dominate this year. The ACC did get better. So that's my opinion. They do play Notre Dame, I think, week 5, and then they play Florida week 3 or whatever. So they have a chance to show, hey, we're back. Last year wasn't a fluke. We just had that one bad game, but we'll see. USC, they're fool's gold to me until they can muster up a road win in the Big Ten, like a good road win. They're not back at all. I mean, they'll be fine, no, but they're an 8-win team. They have to win a true Big Ten road game, like a good Big Ten road game against a good team, not like a Northwestern. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's my opinion.
True. And my camera, for everyone that is watching and not just listening to the audio, my camera has decided that does not want my face in it anymore, which is probably not the worst thing. So, but I'm going to agree with Nate here and say, that Texas, out of those 3 teams, is probably currently the most back because of what they did last year. But look what Miami has been doing and can continue to do. All they have to do is win the ACC, and they're in. I mean, just don't have a slip-up game, and they're in. And with USC, I also agree with Nate. They're building something. They're building something great. They are doing a great job in recruiting this year. But we know that recruiting classes take sometimes 2 to 3 years to show up on the field. Not every single recruit's going to hit. And now with the transfer portal and how it is, you're not even guaranteed to keep all the guys you bring in. They could transfer out mid-season, say, hey, I'm done playing for you. So USC does have the potential. They're doing what I believe Miami did correct. Texas had been doing before Miami even was considered back. Texas did a little slower build than Miami, but as soon as they hopped in the SEC, getting the chat of the SEC, some recruits started flying, the NIL money started flying, and now Miami's kind of played the catch-up game, and they're really close. And then USC is probably the worst out of those 3, but it's just because they have to get the recruits in, and they have to continue to coach them up and everything. So, but yeah, that's definitely. I think Nate and I agree on a lot of things, and that's definitely something we agree on. But let's say that USC, Miami, or Texas, either one of them, let's say they start having a bad season. That brings us to our next little segment here, which is the panic meter. And Nate,
panic meter.
Yeah,
week 1.
Panic
Week
meter. So we're going to talk about a week 1 panic meter. It's not necessarily going to be about those 3 teams to talk about, but it could be.
No, it could never know.
But yeah, Nate, what team are you putting on panic meter alert for week 1? And that's
team
what
I'm putting on
upset alert.
I would just say panic meter alert, just because if you don't get the win, your first month or your first 6 weeks of football, if you don't get it right, you could be facing a bad season, and I think that's LSU. LSU should be on panic alert, just because if you go into Clemson and you lose another opener like you've lost against USC and Florida State in the past, their schedule sucks. They have to they'll win, I think, week 2. They play Podunk State, but after that, they have to win every game. You know what I mean? They do have some night games at home in Baton Rouge, which is awesome, but they got to win that game. That game sets up the momentum for the rest of their season. So that's my panic meter right there for week 1. And then I have a second one. It's really not one team. It's 2 fan bases, and it's Baylor and Auburn.
Facts.
This game sucks for both of them because they both have to win game 1.
Absolutely.
Dave Aranda and his staff need to win this home game. Hugh Freeze and his staff definitely need to win this away game to prove, hey, we've done a lot of good in the offseason.
Yeah.
So it sucks. If this game is a blowout on one other side, sucks for the loser. If it's going to be just a typical 24 to 21 game, come down to a field goal, there's a lot to say there. Both teams, I believe both teams have gotten way better in the offseason. But it sucks because if you do lose, you do not want to spiral. Because if you spiral, someone might lose their job.
Yeah.
But yeah, panic button for those. It's a soft panic. It's a very good week 1 opener that you're going to test your might right off the bat. You know what I mean? So Those are my two panic alerts for week 1.
Yeah, and I'm going to piggyback off of you instead of, I'm not going to include Baylor, but I'm going to say Auburn. And why am I going to say Auburn? Not because I'm an Auburn fan only, because of what's currently going on in recruiting. Auburn came into the month of June with a top 15 recruiting class, maybe top 25. Could be completely off on that. We'll just say top 25 to be safe. They are currently sitting around 80. And why, you may ask? Why, Nate? Why is this happening?
Why is that happening?
Well, because of the House settlement saying, hey, $20.5 million is your cap for all sports. So what does Hugh Freeze and the rest of the Auburn staff and athletic director say to do? Let's follow the rules that haven't started yet. Let's follow the rules. And granted, they will start August 1st. Pen can meet paper. This, you can say, hey, here's your deal. You can't sign it officially until obviously signing day, but we can put pen to paper and say, hey, here's your deal. Here's how much NIL you're going to get. We'll send it to the clearinghouse, which may not even, that's almost like a mythical man up in the clouds. We don't even know if it's real, right? We know nothing. But Auburn and Hugh Freeze have said, hey, we're going to go buy this. And they're telling publicly at speaking events that they're offering players way less. And the quote was, I believe, Hugh Freeze said, it's a lot less. And so guys are jumping ship because they're like, I'm not going to go to, why would I go to Auburn, which is a great school, and I'm biased in this. It's a great place. Why would I go there and like this receiver? Just flip from Auburn to Kentucky. Have we ever seen that in a sport that's not basketball? This is football we're talking about. Like, you don't see that. So what's going on? A couple of things are going to come from this. Either August 1st, well, and it's not all going to happen on the 1st because, the clearinghouse,
everybody goes into effect,
sign it and look through it first. When August 1st rolls around, the month of August rolls around, NCAA or whoever it is, the governing body is going to say, hey, yeah, these are the rules, you got to follow. Or they're going to say, well, it's kind of a gray area season, so just this season it's not really going to apply, but next season it's hard capped. Or they're going to say, hey, we really have no power of this, do what you want anyway, which is what's been going on. So Auburn's either going to look like great or they're going to look really foolish. And that's why the panic meter's setting in. It's not just setting in because we need to win, and we need to win now because Hugh Freeze needs to win. I'm going to say 7 to 8 games for him to not be on the burning hot seat. You lose, you win less than 7, you might be fired.
Yeah.
But you have so much talent at Auburn. There is no reason you shouldn't go out and beat Baylor. I'm not saying Baylor's a bad team, but Auburn has all the tools. I mean, they've got an edge rusher. They've got an edge rusher projected in the top 20 of the NFL draft. They've got a wide receiver getting projected in the top 2 rounds. They just have to put all the pieces together. And so the panic meter really is for Auburn, because if you do lose that game, people are already ticked off about recruiting. And then you're going to throw in on top of it, you just lost to Baylor at Baylor, which is not a bad loss, really. But it's one of those things that's like you have to figure it out now, or that panic meter will be going off and people will be calling for Coach Hugh Freeze's head, probably calling for John Cohen's head as well because of all the offseason stuff that's going on. But again, it all could be fixed come August 1st when pen can meet paper and contract can be officially submitted to everyone. So that will be my panic meter for sure.
And that is
Auburn
definitely
Tigers.
A good panic meter for sure. And we'll go into some more panic meters, obviously, as we give us a next week's episode or whatever. But yeah, there's a lot of panic. I mean, let's say if I was a Alabama fan and I went to Tallahassee and you only win by 10 or 3, I'd panic a little bit.
Yeah.
That sucks. We should be beating these guys by, 15 or 30, with our roster. You know what I mean? So that's a slight panic. So there's a lot of panicking going on. We haven't got into it. But guys, it's good to be back. We're gonna wrap this up at the 30-minute mark. But if you want more topics, if you want to send us, if you like it, let us know. If you don't like it, let us know. We're here for you. Back Porch is more of a college football page now. We narrowed it down. We try to do all of it, but we love football, college football. We said, what are we denying? We just go after our passions, right? So hopefully you join us next week. And that it concludes another great episode of Porch Conversations with Jake and Nate, FBI Killer.
See you next week.
See you guys.